Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.
Welcome to St. Louis on the Air. I'm Sarah Fenske. What do Michael McDonald and Brian Owens have in common? Well, they're both musicians. In fact, they're both talented vocalists. That's even though Owens is a soul singer and McDonald is a yacht rock legend who performed with Steely Dan and the Doobie Brothers. And yeah, those are McDonald's lead vocals on that hit. They're both widely respected within their field for their musicianship, and they're both from Ferguson. On Sunday, the two will take the stage together at the Touhill Performing Arts Center. The occasion is a celebration of McDonald's legacy. Also performing, another locally raised star, 15-year-old Kennedy Holmes of America's Got Talent. Here to talk about this event and his music is Brian Owens. Brian, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. This is my first conversational amendment. Michael McDonald is a soul singer.
Well, we'll have to talk about that because, he
yes.
doesn't always get credit for that.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely a soul singer.
Yeah, you're defending Michael McDonald's legacy.
Indeed.
That's great.
Indeed.
Do you have a question for Brian Owens or thoughts about whether or not Michael McDonald qualifies as a soul singer? You can give us a call at 314-382-8255. That's 382-TALK. Or you can send us a tweet at STL On Air or email us at talk@stlpublicradio.org. So, Brian, you're charging right into what I exactly wanted to ask you about. Michael McDonald. What is it about him and his work that made you want to pay tribute to him?
Well, like most people, especially being born in 1980, it was kind of like the soundtrack. And my earliest memory of seeing Michael McDonald and hearing him was on What's Happening, the show from the 80s with the Doobie Brothers. And hearing his voice even then, I mean, it's so distinct that when you hear it, you know it's his. And, you know, I've had the privilege of being able to not only meet him over the years, but then to work with him and then become friends with him. So when I found out that he was from Ferguson, I mean, and then I'd moved to Ferguson, it was kind of a no-brainer. And I've done several, tributes and different things like that before, but this one is probably the most special. Number one, because it's Mike in his hometown. He's going to be on the stage with us. And it's for our community. It's for our hometown folks. But given all the things that have happened in the last 5 years, I think it's just going to be a good time to kind of reset and kind of push forward in new agendas with the soundtrack of the original Soul of Ferguson.
So Michael McDonald, some people maybe who grew up in the 80s and just listened to this as sort of like light rock that was on in the background. And he is definitely a white guy. Yet you're making this case that what he's doing is genuinely soul music. What makes it soul and not just soft rock?
Soul to me is a method of interpretation. Number one, I mean, I'm the cat that thinks that Johnny Cash was a soul singer.
Okay,
just
you've got a broad definition.
In broad definition. Now you can definitely make it more not linear, but make it smaller when you talk about the idea of like Ray Charles and Sam Cooke and the genre of soul, which is the blending of jazz, gospel, and blues. But I think Mike, encompassing all of that. I mean, he is one of the living embodiments of what St. Louis music really is. When you listen to his music, even his writing, you hear the sophistication of the jazz, but in his voice, you hear the rawness of gospel and of blues. And I think he and Donny Hathaway are probably the two that embody that sound the best.
So as you mentioned, you and Michael McDonald collaborated a few years ago on the song For You. Let's give that a listen. that's the song For You featuring Michael McDonald. It's from Brian Owens' 2017 album Soul of Ferguson. How did that song end up coming together? Is this something you wrote? Or?
It's a song that I wrote actually with a guy named Tony Esterly, who's from here, now living in Nashville. And we went on tour with Michael McDonald in October 2015, and we were performing that in the show. And much to my surprise and delight, he really liked the song. And the following year, we ended up recording it together. And I remember the day I got the video from him of him recording it in the studio, and I sat on my couch for like 15 minutes looking at it going, what? No.
Because your mind was just so blown.
Oh, my mind was blown completely. And then I had to re-record my vocals because he sang it so well that I had to go back and
Made you up your game?
Yeah, I had to up my game, yeah.
And watching you in the studio as this song came on, I mean, you were jamming. It sounds like this is a song that really is meaningful to you.
I mean, I'm a kid who grew up watching Michael McDonald, impersonating Michael McDonald, singing his music. And here I am, I have a duet with him.
Yeah, that's a huge deal.
Like, I thank God every day. Like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Now, as you mentioned, you've done a number of these tributes. You've done them for Johnny Cash and Bill Withers, among others. What was the most challenging for you as an artist?
Marvin Gaye.
Why so?
Because Marvin Gaye, in my estimation, is the most, not vocally complicated, but like just the idiosyncrasies and the intricacies of his voice and what he could do in his range, the coloring of his voice and how he used it. It was really difficult, but I'm probably the singer I am now because of, taking on that task.
Having to learn how Marvin Gaye did what he did.
Absolutely. It's totally informed how I sing as a vocalist, for sure.
Now, in addition to singing songs made famous by other artists, you have many, many of your own. Your latest single, released late last month, is titled Carry You. Let's give a listen to that.
Watching over you before you knew all the things that you would do. Chasing the sun every morning, flying without wings, jumping over hills. Nothing would ever keep you still. Oh, let me carry you. Let it carry you.
That's Brian Owens' newest release, the song Carry You. The piano on that song is so lovely. Who's playing that?
Peter Martin.
Okay, and he's also going to be featured at this
Oh,
show on
yeah,
Sunday.
yeah.
Tell us, who is Peter Martin?
You don't know Peter Martin?
Hey, music is not necessarily my area of expertise. You got to enlighten us.
Peter Martin is a product of University City. He's also the music director for Diane Reeves, and he's a Grand Center neighbor. He has an open studio network right down the street, right here on Olive in the Arts and Education Building.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Yeah.
So you brought him in for this song.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. For the whole album. He's amazing.
Now, you've said that Carry You was written at a time when your family was experiencing one of the most challenging seasons you've ever encountered. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, a guy, young man right now, he's like our son, and he was just, facing some life challenges, and my wife and I were kind of at a loss in how to minister to him, how to love on him. And at that same time, Tony Esterly, again, who co-wrote that one as well, hit me up about co-writing a song that was supposed to be for like the Olympics or people in the Olympics, but from the perspective of not the athlete, but those who support the athletes. And that was kind of the motivation, but I wrote it for
thinking about this young man.
Yeah.
And what has happened, without necessarily getting in details you don't want to tell us? Is he doing okay today?
He's going to be on the show.
Oh, this show that you're doing
praise God.
on Sunday night? Okay, so you got to tell us the story.
He's going to be on the show. I mean, no, like, the work that we do, and I think this show is kind of indicative of it and what we want to do as an organization, Life Arts and stuff. But the work that we do is so much more than making music and making musicians. I mean, it's developing leaders and the holistic aspect of an individual and a person and an artist. And so, my relationship with him and, our other students and Michael, they all have to serve a greater purpose. And I think when we serve that greater purpose, the ability to bring community together and then address and get through our issues together becomes a lot more palatable and easy.
So you mentioned this organization, Life Arts, and this is an organization that you started, and it is going to be the beneficiary of this concert that's happening on Sunday. So tell us, what is this organization? What kind of work do you do?
Yeah, I'm not so sure that I started it.
Okay. I have some misinformation
No,
here.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
I take back my apology.
I'm just playing with you. Yeah, take that apology back. No, it was, we were just kind of like just doing the work, and we started with a therapeutic songwriting program with Maryville at Confluence Academy, Old North. And then it just grew into these other programs where we had students going out on tour with me. We have students that we were providing internships and fellowships for in the arts, but in a more holistic way where they were not just seeing their direct path, but other paths that they could take using the arts. And it's just been a really exciting journey that God put me on that I did not see coming at all. And so another thing as an organization is not just raising money and resources for ourselves and our students, but then our students being able to use their talent to then give back to the community. So this Sunday, a portion of the proceeds is also going to Coach Todd Shelton, who was the Berkeley football coach, who was dedicating his life to these students, and he was tragically shot this past February and paralyzed, but he's still with us. He's still full of fire. And, we want to continue to help him get his message out and support him getting him back on the field and back in the classroom. So it's not just about using the music and the arts for us. It's how we can use it to support our community members and our neighbors.
So a portion of what comes out of this concert will help him with things like medical expenses.
Yeah. And in particular, they're trying to get a specific vehicle for him that he needs. And, so he's getting this. It's the first year. He's getting this award we're calling a Champion for Life. And we named it after a woman named Elizabeth Hutcherson Rux, who was the first African-American music teacher in Ferguson. And her story is amazing. She's 90 years old now. She's going to be there. But the other amazing thing is that we're doing a pre-show reception just for students. Her grandson is a teacher in Ferguson and bringing some of his students. Her great-granddaughter is playing violin in the show. So it's going to be, it's just.
How did that even come together?
God. I mean, it's this beautiful picture of, I don't know, just the way in which we can, in my life, I say God threads up the community in my life for something bigger. Mm-hmm. And Timmy Zell's a great friend of mine who's going to be hosting the show from the Fox 2 and then the Thread. He always talks about threading up people together. And I feel like that's kind of our purpose and our mission is to just thread things together.
And you have spoken quite a bit about your faith, and today you even referenced several times your faith in God. Do you think that has held you back within the music industry to be so open about having this sincere belief?
I'm going to say this. Yes, it's held me back from all the things that I shouldn't have, all the places I shouldn't go. It's been a grounding for me, and I'm blessed to have in my life the kind of support that I have and to have the kind of career that I'm having right now at this point in my life where I can really appreciate it. And just having the grounding of my 3 F's, call it my 3 F's, my faith, my family, and my Ferguson, and those are the most important things to me.
And you feel that your faith has held you back from the kind of trouble that you could otherwise get in.
Absolutely. Yeah. I say all the time, if not for my faith in my wife, I don't know what I would have done in my 20s had I gotten the things that I wanted, like a record deal, like the millions. Had I gotten all those things, the very thing that's happening Sunday, I seriously doubt that it would have happened. And I think that's going to be far more impactful than anything I would have done as being a quote-unquote success in the industry.
You might have been a cautionary tale instead.
Oh, yeah, and we don't want to be a cautionary tale.
Absolutely not.
No.
One of the 2 songs you released this past spring is titled Sparrow. Now, it has a whole different feel to it from Carry You. Let's listen to that.
I used to hear a sparrow singing, but one day as I went along, I didn't hear his song. But I know that sparrow should sing.
That That's Brian Owens' song Sparrow, and Brian is here in studio with us today. Both that and Carry You, the cut we heard earlier, that's going to be part of your forthcoming album, Love Came Down. That's set for release in February 2020. What else can we expect on that album?
Vocally, I think for me, it's just an album where I was able to have my vocals exposed even more and just sing in a completely different way. And I'm really excited about it. Great musicianship, strings all the way through the record. It's a beautiful piece. It's a beautiful piece of work. So I'm just excited to share it with it, and just for people to just vibe out and just kind of it's a getaway kind of album. You put it on when you want to get away. Yeah, it's good.
So real quickly here, before we run out of time, in addition to Michael McDonald, you and your Deacons of Soul will be performing Sunday evening, and there's also going to be Kennedy Holmes on there. What will we hear from her?
I can't tell you that.
This is a secret.
Maybe a duet with Michael McDonald.
Oh, whoa. That would be huge.
Maybe. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but I'm saying it's a possibility.
And Peter Martin, who you referenced earlier, he'll be there. And Shedrick Mitchell, who's that?
Shedrick Mitchell is another Ferguson product who's been in New York for a really long time. He's played with Whitney Houston, played with Aretha Franklin. Now he's on the road with R&B artist Maxwell. So
this is some heavy hitters here.
We tried to get some good folks, some fairly decent musicians to be there to back up Michael McDonald, and I think you won't want to miss this. It's gonna be special, truly special.
And so that concert is Sunday at the Touhill Performing Arts Center, and tickets are still available.
They are.
But maybe not for long.
No, not for long. So I would definitely get tickets. Definitely get tickets today.
So Brian Owens, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sarah.
Podcast episodes of St. Louis on the Air are available at stlpublicradio.org, or you can subscribe for free on Apple Podcasts, the Google Podcast app, or wherever you get your podcasts. St. Louis on the Air is produced by Evie Hemphill and Lara Hampton, with production assistance from Aaron Dorr, Charlie McDonald, and Alexis Moore. The senior producer is Emily Woodbury, and the executive producer is Alex Hoyer. St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio 90.7 KWMU. Thank you for listening. I'm Sarah Fenske.
Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.